Hey, Terrence from Rolling Around. Today we're going to talk a little bit about wetting and drying. Wetting and drying is something that is quite misunderstood and very little is known about it, but it's a major effect on how stone weathers outdoors. This is some of the display areas and entry areas out front of our corporate offices and shipping and receiving department, and you can see overnight we had rain and then we had a gentle shower again this morning. And so what you're able to see here are various granite that is showing a drying taking place. The walkway is a different geology of stone. It would be a quartzite. Might also be exposed to a little bit more air that's moving across it, but you can see how it is beginning to dry. Here's some natural cleft bluestone that is also drying up nicely. But what we're also able to see is evidence of stone that do not really absorb a whole lot of moisture because they're very dense, like this quartzite. And there can be places that stone actually, or the water, actually puddles up because there's an area for it to be captured. Here in a very permeable area where water drains nicely, you can see how quickly stone pavers begin to dry. So this would be a very good example of what your goal is with wetting and drying of your exterior substrates, is to ensure that you have a permeable system installed, because that way it can dry more quickly. And here we can see in this sandstone paving, related to wetting and drying, is called picture framing. The picture framing, you can see, changes the edges, the centers of the way the stone appears, and this is a direct cause related to wetting and drying. You can see here the Pennsylvania natural cleft and the blue color range also is showing evidence of picture framing. And as we come over to this stone that's drying, you can actually see how the edges are staying more wet than the center. Picture framing. At the edges of the stone, because of the joint holding water, that's why you see the edges of the stone is still wet. The wetting and drying related to the edges is a little bit easier to be seen when the stone is lighter in color. You can see the joint color is dark. That's because it is still wet and it's still drying. And in this area, this material is yet another geology. This would be a tumbled marble or very dense limestone. And you can see it too can be affected by wetting and drying, especially because the joint, in this case, is holding water. And the last item, the less water that a system absorbs and holds, the faster it can dry. This area here is one of our granite type pavings. We believe it to be a gabbro. You can see how it's drying nicely and very quickly. And what's drying the slowest, again, let's take a closer look. The joint. Any place where water can be held and be absorbed is going to cause a longer period of time for the stone and the system to dry. and an area that's protected from the wind, and where stone really has a very low absorption rate. You can see this area here is still quite wet. It's because it's not absorbing the water. That's all that we're going to spend time today on wetting and drying. Please make sure that you take some time to check our website out and find locations and reference materials that we're supplying you that can educate you even more on wetting and drying. Have a great day.